What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages? This is Graham Powell. That's Michelle Zangulis on the other screen over there. This is the Tough Runs Don't Last podcast. This is episode 1, so we're gonna fumble a few things there. But yes, Tough Runs Don't Last podcast. Michelle Zangulis over there with the cool microphone that I'm jealous of. Anyway, say what's up, Michelle.
Hello, happy to be here.
Okay, first of all, again, tell me again how you got that microphone.
I got it on Amazon. Just I searched podcast mic, and I think I picked the cheapest one with good review.
Okay. All right. So everyone wondering whether or not they want to start a podcast, there you go. There's a start for you. But anyway, yeah, Tough Runs Don't Last podcast. Maybe I'll get that right by episode 10. All right. So this is going to be a running podcast where we talk about all things running. I've done a lot of races, really too many to count overall. I believe I've done 12 marathons, 29 official half marathons. I'm pacing one this coming Saturday. She and I did a 5K yesterday, Michelle and I, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But let's talk a little bit about the March races that we have done. Starting things off, we did the Little Rock Marathon. I did the marathon. You did the half marathon. This was a Sunday event, Little Rock, Arkansas. Little Rock is known for their massive medals, and so you get people from all over the country coming into this race. It's a big ordeal in Little Rock. They have a Saturday race for the 5K and 10K. They have Sunday races for the half marathon and marathon. And if you do a race each day, you get like a little combo challenge medal thing. So you can, and they have a run local race series, and you can leave the Little Rock Marathon weekend with 4 medals. I've done it a couple of times. I think I'm just good with the marathon now. If somebody wants to go ahead and register me for the 5K or something like that on their dime, I don't mind doing it. Shout out mom who's done that for me before. But let's talk about how we did Sunday during the Sunday race. I did the marathon, you did the half. What was your strategy going into it? That was your first official half, right?
That was my first half, and I signed up on a whim because the theme was dinosaurs, and I really just wanted the dinosaur medal. And so my goal was just to finish in the like the time limit, and then see what happened. So I did not run, I walked 13.1 miles.
Was there any running involved at the end?
I did run across the finish line because I feel like you have to.
I believe that too. Um, when did you actually start running though? When you like 100 yards out, when you saw
Oh.
the camera guy.
It was probably when I saw the camera guy. I walked past all of the people cheering you on, saying run, and I was like, I'm not ready to run yet. So it was probably,
Did you tell him that?
I
Or
did not. I was a very nice person and just walked right by them.
you're in a good mood when you see the finish line.
I
That's
was glad to be done.
that's Dexter, my dog, making an appearance on the show. He sounds very bad, and he's almost 14 and has this really bad cough. So he likes to be in here with me. So anyway, that's his little mosh roar that he's going to do every so often. But yeah, that's Dexter making his appearance here. Can't really flip the camera around to him, but he probably wouldn't appreciate that right now anyway. But he's doing fine other than the cough. But okay, do you have the medal on you just to show everyone what we're talking about as I take a
I
sip of my water?
do. It is a triceratops and absolutely amazing. And I'm very glad that I got it.
Now, when you hold it that close, it's the size of your head. But it's yeah, okay. It's still pretty. It's still a really big medal.
Still
All right.
almost the size of my head.
Yes, still almost the size of your head. But now I will pull mine out, the Little Rock Marathon medal itself. This is legitimately the size of my head. It looks even bigger zoomed in like that. And as I bang it against my armchair here.
Okay, it's covering part of the middle.
Okay. There we go. That better? As
Yes.
it's with the light in the background. But yes, literally the size of my head. I can't get around the glare right now. We're doing this in the afternoon. But yeah, the size of my head. Love this medal. It's the sixth time I've done the Little Rock Marathon. They have a new theme every year. And I really like this medal. I like the T Rex. It's the king of all dinosaurs, pretty much. You're a fan of the Triceratops one, though.
Yes.
So, yeah, both very cool medals. They'll have a completely different theme next year. But all all the Little Rock Marathon medals from a certain year on, it was like 2008 or something that they started making them just really large and massive. I did my first in 2013, and like I said, that was the first of six, and they're all that size. They're all massive and huge. They weigh 3.5 pounds. So when you cross the finish line and they put that around your neck, it's very heavy, but it's the best feeling in the world. And then you go in to the State House Convention Center. You get your treats like snacks, whatever, Gatorade, and then there's always a beer area there, and they're always like, take 2 beers, and I'm like, gladly. What was the name of the brewery there?
Oh, I was not paying attention to who was there. Was it Flyway?
Flyway. Okay, that's
I know
it.
that Stone's Throw had a tent on the course. Um, and so I think it was Flyway that was inside the convention center.
They have beer throughout the race, by the way. Little Rock is basically one big party.
They had a
And
lot of mimosa stops too, if you're not a beer drinker.
Fireball, there's a couple of Fireball stops. There's even a beer spot like at like the 25-mile marker.
Wow.
And I stopped and drank one. It was around mile 18, 17, 18. That was the only time I did it because I was actually having I had a really good time, and I actually PR'd that race, and you did too, by the way.
I did because it was my first, so I
Yeah,
automatically got a PR.
yeah, PR is a PR. And I went into Sunday's race. My brother ran it too. My brother Ben, who's 10 years younger than me and in way better shape than I am right now. He was going for a sub 4. It was his first marathon. He was going for a sub 4. I've never come close to that. I was just saying I'm going for a sub 5. I was dealing with a groin like injury, so I had a lot of question marks going into this race. I just wanted to finish. One, that was the main goal, just finish. And then two, if I can, come in under 5 hours. And I'm in pretty good shape because I'm doing a statewide race series called the Grand Prix. This is in the state of Arkansas. For those of you that don't know, it's 20 different races of all kinds of distances, and I'm wanting to do all 20 in order to gain Iron Runner status and to better have a better shot at placing in my age group by the end of the year. So I'm just doing those races and running. It's only been like twice a week right now because I'm doing a race every weekend. So I'm at least getting 3 runs in a week, 3 long runs. And so I'm in pretty good shape right now for me. So it's my long winded way of saying going into this race, I was sticking with the 5 hour age group for a while. And I just kept going past like further on. I was saying I might need to slow down. But at a certain point, I realized I was good down there and I could go faster than this. So I just kept going, and then I met the 4 hour and 50 minute pace group, which those two are in my local running club, Cabot Cruisers. Shout out to them. And so I ran with them for a little bit, but then I was like, I can keep going. So I just kept going, and then I got to 440. I was at the four. Now I was at 445. I met with them for a little bit, or ran with them for a little bit. That's where I got the beer at around 17, 18. And by mile 20, I saw the 440 group in my, peripherals. I saw those yellow shirts, the pace shirts. I was like, I'm going to try to catch them. I got 6 miles to do it. Probably took me a good mile or mile and a half to catch them because I mean it's a big straightaway. It's an out and back. It's a big straightaway, and I eventually got to them, and I was like, I'll just stay here. I'm good. And then by like mile 22 with them, I can keep going. And I just kept going. I was like, it'll be in the 430s. And I just thought that would look cool on your little results thing. And then by the time I got to the finish, I look at my watch and I'm like, I can come in under 4:35. So I booked it as the best I could. I'm sure it looked not fast on the video because every time at the finish line, I feel like I'm booking it. And then you see like the replay, like the video, if I have somebody there, and it's like, no, it's I wasn't going fast, but I thought I was, especially in a marathon. But I booked it as best I could. Came in just under 4:35. I think my official time was 4:34:53. So I achieved that goal that I set for myself in those last 10 seconds. So my goal is just progressively got greater as the race went on. A lot of it just depends on how things go in a marathon type of race. You would now you have certain I don't know if you want to talk about this, but you have certain limitations that would prevent you from really ever going that distance or anything greater than a half marathon. Is that correct?
Correct. I have some heart conditions. I have multiple heart conditions. And so my heart rate can't get too high or I will pass out. So I
Not
have to,
good.
not good. So I have to be very careful in watching that when I am being active in general, especially if I'm going to be running, because passing out while running could lead to some serious injuries and probably some head trauma.
Probably. It's not a even if you're doing a trail race. I've never done a trail race. That's that I wouldn't even say that's a bucket list item for me. That's a different show. But the point is, it's not going to be a soft landing no matter where you're running in a race.
No.
And Dexter's leaving the room. Got all my podcast equipment up here, so I got to make sure he doesn't get tangled up in anything. All right, so he's clear. Good job, buddy. All right, so going into it, you just wanted to come in under 4 hours, correct? That was kind of your goal.
Yes, because the race, so it's obviously going the same time as the marathon. The marathon has a 6 hour time limit. So technically you have 6 hours to finish it because they're not going to kick you off the course. But officially the half marathon had a 4 hour time limit. So that was the goal, was just finish within the official time limit. But I came in well under that and I finished in 3:44 something. I just looked at it yesterday, but I already forgot what the seconds were. So
It was 3 4. Yeah, I remember that. I remember you sending that to me or something. 3:44 something. So yeah, both of us achieved our goals. Like I said, mine changed throughout the race itself. I never dealt with anything like that going into a race. I've had injury issues in the past, but that was just in my. I have a left leg that doesn't like to cooperate sometimes. I've had no issues this year, knock on some wood. But yeah, I've had Achilles tendonitis and I ran I ran a half marathon. As I was just kind of getting over that, I got diagnosed with it probably 4 weeks before the race and just didn't tell my doctor that I was planning to do a half. I said, "Okay, what I do?" He's like, "Nothing. You can't do anything. Like you can like there's nothing you can do to fix it other than just inactivity. It just takes time and rest." And even when I would just switch to lifting, because I was like, I got to try to do something. Because I had a goal of coming in under 2 hours in the half marathon. Um, that in that half marathon I was doing, that was my goal. So I was like, I got to stay active. I can't not do anything for 3.5 weeks and expect to do that. So I just would lift. I would lift weights, just like lots of reps. I'm an ex personal trainer, so I do have some knowledge of that, of how to just cross train or alternative forms of training. So I was like, okay, just lots of reps, lots of sets, lots of reps at lighter weight. But even then, when I would do like a shoulder press, like your feet are like a seated shoulder press, your feet are planted to the ground, and it would hurt just doing a shoulder press. So I was like, yeah, this is iffy. But I went into the race, no problem. That race, no problems. I was limping for about 2 days afterwards, but that was the worst of it. It did eventually get better, and it aches from time to time, but I usually just rest. I'll take a couple of days off, 2, 3 days off if it's bad or if it's starting to ache, and then it usually just kind of refreshes and it's good after that. But yeah, um, Little Rock Marathon, good time. You didn't feel so hot afterwards because I wanted you to wait and hang out with me after. And then I got there and I looked around, didn't carry my phone with me. I don't like to carry my phone to a race. I'm weird about my phone. I'm particular about it, and I just don't want to. I don't want to carry it. I'll drop it or something. It's one more thing I got to keep up with. No, just give me my watch and some Vaseline, some nip guards for those of you that do halves or above. Men that is. Women don't have that problem. Um, so big benefit to sports bras there. But yeah, it's where was I even going with that?
I was not feeling hot after the
Okay.
half
Yeah, I was gonna say I went in a completely different.
marathon.
I took a right or left turn at the rabbit hole and just completely forgot how to get back to it. But yeah, I wanted you to, or I was hoping you would hang out for a bit in the State House Convention Center, share a beer with me or something. I got there, I looked around, I was like, I don't see her anywhere. And then I eventually, which I had realized by then you were gone. I got back to my car and my phone. I was like, you were like, I didn't feel good. I got out of there. So how long did that take you to feel human again? Or, well, normal, we'll put it that way.
I hung out in the convention center for probably 30 minutes just because I knew I was not going to be in the best condition to drive right then. And then it was one of those things where I just needed to get home. I did not feel well. Um, my heart rate, it was taking a long time for it to come back down. So I just got up and left. But I was okay that day. I took a nap and everything, but I was sore. I'm still technically sore, and that was 2 weeks ago.
Still sore, really?
My feet are still sore.
Now, is it the same foot that you hurt yesterday?
Yes, so it
You
could
sure
be.
sure it wasn't just that?
I mean, it's just I keep injuring that foot. It's fine.
And when you said like you were like, I just want to go home, I just kept thinking of yesterday when you had said that. Is that something you'd like to share here on the show?
Um, with what happened yesterday?
Yes. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yesterday I slipped and fell in a big mud puddle. Um, we
Would
were
you like
playing
to
disc golf.
okay, yeah. Let's say
Um,
set this story up.
so we were playing disc golf. And we just had a huge storm come through, a lot of rain, and did not know how muddy this was going to be.
Yeah, this was your to be fair, this was your first time doing this course. It was not my first time doing this course. I knew it was going to be very wet and muddy, but I did not consider uh your phobia of mud that that I was unaware of until yesterday. But continue on.
Irrational fear. Yeah, I have an irrational fear of mud. I can't explain it. I don't like it. Um, it's just a thing about me. So I'm also, I think it's important to note that I'm really bad at disc golf. Um,
You're not
I
really bad. You're not professional by any means, but I've seen worse.
I do it for fun. But if it's a par three, I'm probably gonna get a six. So it's also important to note that I'm gonna end up in the mud. I'm gonna hit every tree. And yesterday I threw it into like my disc into a huge puddle. It was probably 3 inches of water, and I was gonna have to go into it because my disc had sunk to the bottom already. And my foot sunk in the mud and I got real scared. And I then ran out of the mud and rolled my ankle and landed right on my bottom in a huge puddle.
I saw the slide mark of the foot. I did see that. I missed the entire thing. I was going for par. I was catching my groove. I had got that was like my third par in a row.
Mhm.
And because yeah, we played six because I had bogeyed the first three, and then I had parred the last three. So I was kind of starting to catch my groove back. I hadn't played disc golf in 2, 3 years. It was kind of starting to come back by then. And I just hear as I'm going for par, throwing it in, I'm just focused on that. And I just hear, nope, nope, nope. And I hear you running, I hear splashing, and then I hear just a big splash, just a boom, and just a big splash. I look up and you're on the ground, butt down in the mud.
Trying
And
really hard not to cry.
yes, and I found it hilarious just 'cause, that's funny. It's funny when people fall, and it's funny when people fall in the mud, especially when it's not you, being that person that finds it funny. And and we were done after that. That was the end of disc golf.
Yes.
I got through 6 holes. You got through 5.5,
Yes.
and you were ready to call it a day after that.
I was. It was time to go home.
But we had a good morning prior to that. You and I both ran the local Cabot Spring Fling 5K. I'm surprised I didn't fumble that. The local Cabot Spring Fling 5K. And it was half a mile from my place, which was awesome. Because I'm usually traveling at least to Little Rock or something. I'm usually in the car at least 20, 30 minutes to get to a race. This way, it was like, nope, I can get in. It took 2 minutes to get there and park, and then get out and get down to the course. Do a great job. Our club president does a great job organizing that and putting it on. And a huge turnout. It was a big turnout yesterday. And I started out pretty much at the front. I'm not at the very front because I'm probably above like the average person, when it comes to speed. Is that fair to say?
I think so. I just looked up the average 5K times, and the average 5K for a man is 30 minutes, and for a woman is 40 minutes. So
What age though? Like, what's the age?
I think it was 40.
Okay. Yeah. Really? 30
Mhm.
minutes? Okay. All right. So yeah, I guess I fall into that category. Yeah, so I'm near the front, and you do intervals, correct?
I do the run walk intervals, yes.
Okay, just describe your intervals to this would be good for people that are curious about getting into doing like a local race, like a 5K or something like that, and just don't know how to approach it. Those people need to know that there's usually a pace for you no matter what the race is. Just don't be if you're a slower runner, you're going to be a walker, just know not to get at the front. Um, you would think
Yeah.
common sense would kind of dictate that, but that's not the case. I've been to plenty of races, and there are a lot of slow people at the front, and you don't want to be up at the front if you're a slower person because even if they say line up wherever you want, no, if you know you're slower, get to the back because that's just going to create a cluster F at the front, and just people can fall, run, plow over you. I've seen it at the Little Rock Marathon 5K and 10K. I saw that. Though there was one year a few years ago where I think it was 2018 actually, so it was more than a few. But they had said just line up in whatever corral you want. This was just the 5K and 10K day. And so slower runners got to the front, and sure enough, it created a whole mess at the front. And they did away with that. After that, they realized, okay, that was a bad idea. And they got rid of that. They put out a survey after the race asking for they could improve the race. And I'm sure that got a lot of responses, myself included. Sent the same thing. And yeah, if you're a slower runner, get to the back. But the point is, another long-winded way of saying, if you're no matter if you're a slower runner or beginner, there's usually a spot for you in any local race that you're interested in doing, especially a 5K. But anyway, describe your method or approach going into it.
Yeah. So I started doing the run walk intervals. Um, well, in 2018, I did the 10K, the Little Rock 10K, and that's when I started doing it. But I didn't know I was officially doing it, and I didn't do it timed. I just ran until I was tired and then walked until I caught my breath. but officially I now use like an interval timer. And with each race, I have decreased my walking time. So last year I did the Little Rock 5K and I did a 1 minute run and a 3 minute walk. And then I did that again at the Creep and Crawl that's also in Little Rock in October. But it was really hot that day. And so I was going to do a 1 minute run, 2 minute walk, but we were having an unseasonably warm October evening.
It was
So
very warm that day. Yes.
it was 90 degrees at 4:30 at night in October. And so I did 1 minute run, 3 minute walk. And then I did not do an interval for the half marathon because that was not, I knew that I was not going to be able to keep that up for the full 13 miles. But then for the 5K yesterday, I had originally put in that I was going to do a 1 minute run, 2 minute walk, but I actually switched it to a 1 minute run, 1.5 minute walk. And that it felt good. I feel like I would need to do that one again before I go to 1 minute on, 1 minute off, and then eventually start flipping it where I'm running longer than I'm walking. But right now I am walking more than I'm running.
And what was your training like leading up to this? Both
Um,
Little Rock and the 5K yesterday.
well, I had started a half marathon training plan in December, trying to prepare myself because the farthest I had done before that officially was the 10K in 2018. And
A
I feel
couple
like
of years ago.
I need to remind people it's 2024.
Hmm.
Um, so it's been a minute. And I got through 3 weeks of that. And then I stopped. So I was not training, which is also why I was just going to walk the half marathon. Um, and then I did not do any additional training before the 5K, but I had just done a half marathon, so I knew I could do a 5K.
And it should be noted that you are doing you have a full-time job and you're in law school at the moment. You're in
Yes.
your what, second semester currently of law school?
Yes. So I work
You have a
40 hours
very busy
a week
plate.
and I'm in class until almost 9 p.m. every night. So I really can only do things on the weekends. And that's just not conducive to half marathon training. If you actually want to do well.
Yeah, see a lot of people's excuse as to why they don't get into running or get a gym membership or things like that, it's like I don't have time. And if you want to do something bad enough, you'll find a way. You'll make the time, and I believe that with anything. Now, like in this right now for me, I can only get a run in or a long run in really on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Like that's it. Monday, I'm at work all day. Tuesday, I have another podcast a sports podcast that I do on the base Tuesday night. So I'm at work and then I have to prep for that. Wednesday after work I can run. Thursday after work I can run. Friday, I guess I could, but see, especially this year, I have a race every weekend. It was starting January 28th. I've had a race every weekend. And my first one off will be April 28th. And then the following weekend I go to because I'm also in a pace group. I go to Fayetteville 2 weeks from that day to pace a half marathon. And pardon me. And I'll have it'll get slow. It slows down once I hit summer. But the point is, right now, I really only have time to just do Wednesday and Thursday for a workout run. And I want to take Friday off because if I'm going to run, because a lot of these races are Saturday, it's either Saturday or Sunday. Most of them are on a Saturday. So I don't want to have tired legs going into a race. Like if it's up in there to you, if you don't feel like you got enough, training in that week, by then it's too late. Like you're not going to play catch up the night before a race. It's not a good idea. Like no, just go into it with what you have. At least you'll have fresh legs. So that always works for me. I've seen a couple of people in my run club out running the day before a race, and I mean, and some of them are, you know, they're not in, they're slower runners than me. I'll put it that way. But it's doesn't seem like the best idea. But then again, the really fast ones, they can run all the time, and I mean that's part of the reason they got so fast. But everybody's body is different too. My body cannot handle running every day with my Achilles issues and things like that. My past issues, that could become a problem again in a hurry. You kind of got to listen to your body. Just because one person's doing it every day doesn't mean that you're going to be able to do it every day. You pretty much have to listen to your body on that. Michelle has a heart condition. She can't, do certain things that I can do. I can't do certain things that a lot of the faster people in my run club or just anywhere else can do as far as training or just, obviously pace in general. But the point is, the good thing about these local races or just races in general, they want people to show up. They want people to sign up so they can come back next year. They want there to be profit and environment. That's okay. First of all, what got you into running? We have a little bit of time left, but what got you into running? Because you ran track in high school, but what made you? That was all you did, right? What made you want to do that?
Yeah, so I was in a class in, I think, eighth grade called Girls Athletics. So I was put in that class instead of like your normal PE class. I did not choose it, but that's what I ended up. And they required you to try out for two sports to be in that class. And I tried out for basketball. I knew I wasn't going to make basketball. I'm not good at that. I'm also pretty short. And so I tried out for basketball knowing I wouldn't make that. And then the only sport left for me to try out for, because volleyball had already had tryouts, was the track team. And I did not know it at the time, but the coach literally just told everybody to go run a mile. And I was like, I can do that. And so I ran a mile without stopping, you know, just doing what an eighth grade girl does. And then I made the track team because I was one of three people who finished the mile without stopping. And then I just kept doing that until I got an injury in high school. And I messed up my hip flexor and I could not run anymore. And I enjoyed it. I did all kinds of different things. I did long distance. I pole vaulted for a year. And I did the 300-meter hurdles, which is pretty fun too.
And you were one of the faster people before the injury, right?
I consistently placed like top three in at meets. District was always a little bit harder. When our relay teams almost always got first place, but I was pretty decent
So you were at state every year.
every year. Made it to state.
Okay, cool. Well, I started doing it in senior year of high school. I didn't run track. Well, I did it in junior high. I did it in like eighth and ninth grade. Or no, no, no. I did it in seventh grade or something. I didn't like it. I didn't like it then. I just wanted to play. I was used to playing sports like with a ball. Like that's where I got my exercise. Like that's what we did. My friends and I, we just played whatever sport was in season, and that was how we were active. We were either outside playing sports or inside playing video games, and we were more times than not outside playing, some kind of sport, whatever was in season. And I didn't like track in seventh grade. I was kind of like, this is dumb, and I just wasn't interested. And then so I didn't do it first couple of years of high school, and then senior year, I played football and baseball too. And then a couple of my buddies said, "Hey, let's do track." Like just because. Like that's how it happened. They're like, "Hey, let's join the track team." And I was like, "Okay, I'm in. Screw it." So we get there, and I'm the only one of the three that is actually pretty good at it. And that, like, not to toot my own horn, but I mean, I was pretty decent at it in high school. And I was like, "Hey, I'm actually like, I just did the 2 mile, but I was like, I'm pretty good at this." And I placed it every meet. I never went to state, like I wasn't that good, but I placed it every meet I was in. And so I just found I don't know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed going to the meets, hanging out with everyone, and it was a good time. It was more relaxed when you weren't out there like doing it, because there's a lot of time in between events at a high school track meet. But post high school, that was really the only way I could think of to because I didn't want to put on the freshman 15 once you get to college. So I was like, how do I avoid this? And I was like, I could just do the race I did in high school as a workout. And I just did that consistently. And then I found like I remember seeing the Little Rock Marathon like in a ad or something. It might have been in the newspaper back when they had those regularly. And I just like, hey, they give you a medal just for like finishing. That's awesome. And this is before they were even massive. This is like 2004 or something. So I say I'm going to train for a marathon, and then I got injured while training, and then that just delayed things. And then one year I just said, "Hey, I'm going to run a marathon," and then I show up, I did it. Something I didn't know if I could do going into it, and but I did it. I completed it. My time was like 5:18, like 5 hours 18 minutes, something like that. It's 5:18. Don't remember the seconds, but that was 2011. I threw up a lot after. That's still the only time I've ever puked from conditioning, and I played football and everything back when they had two a days. And that was the only time I ever threw up. I was sick as a dog for 2 days, and I was like, I'm never doing that again. And then on day three, I was like, I think I'm going to do that again. And then I ended up doing it and just ended up falling in love with the race scene. And now I just do it regularly. So that's essentially how I got into doing it. And if you're just looking to, for those of you listening, if you're just looking to, I don't know, if you're curious about it, want to do something active on the weekends, find a way to get involved, with your local community, something. I mean, I suggest looking into a local 5K race or just something within 30, 40 miles and signing up. And who knows? I mean, might have a similar situation as far as finding the environment, like-minded people that'll encourage you. And another thing, when you get out there and do this kind of stuff, you'll find that you can do things. Your body can do things you didn't necessarily know it could do until you get out there and do it. I went into Saturday's 5K just hoping to sub 24, and getting out there with my some friends and club members. I end up coming in at 22:36. So I mean, just the competition makes you better too. But anyway, long story short, look into it if that's something you're into. But I think we're about out of time. Anything to add before we get out of here, Michelle?
Nope. Nothing to add.
Jeff, fun?
Sure.
Just say yes and we'll move on. We'll close the
Yes.
show. All right. I'll be back probably this time next week. Michelle, we'll see. But until then, we're gonna get out of here. This is Graham Powell, your host. Michelle Zangulis, co-host for today at least. Say goodbye, Michelle.
Goodbye, Michelle.
All right, deuces, y'all.